The Roccat Kone Pure has remained one of the top recommendations, with the overall quality along with one of the best scroll wheels around. It's a shape that either makes it or breaks it for people. It's a little unsafe, but still good, and now I have its bigger brother, the new Roccat Kone EMP with the new 3361 optical sensor. Being the same shape, I have no doubt it's going to have the same pros and cons, just for larger hands. Here's a tour of the design so you know what it's about. First, even from the top, you'll notice it has a fair few angles. On the left side, there is a big thumb groove, which has a small edge that keeps your thumb above the pad, and the side then curves outward, which makes it easier to pick up. That part is a bit unsafe, but I've found it comfortable enough on the EMP and Pure. This curve also protects from accidental clicks on the side buttons. However, this puts the buttons on a bit of an awkward angle. They work okay, but I think they could be better. On the right side, it flares out at the back, but my fingers don't seem to get placed on it, so it might be for balance. Other than that, it seems fairly safe. There should be plenty of room for your fingers, and again it has a slight vertical curve to help with picking it up, but it also curves outward a bit at the front. Actually, I think this side feels good for the thumb, so they could probably make an ambidextrous mouse with that side. It might be quite comfortable. The left button is higher than the right, and there are no comfort grooves in either, but they feel okay. And on the base we see the odd shape along with the two wide mouse feet, which are smooth and glide quite well. So the shape has some good and bad points, and some people love it while others hate it. Personally, I like it, and it's quite comfortable, but this one is too big for me, and at a weight of about 117 grams, it's heavier than I'd like too. For bigger hands though, it might be acceptable. It depends what you want. Generally, the rule is about 100 grams, even for big mice. The weight distribution feels fairly central, which is in line with the sensor. Here it is next to the Kone Pure and Razer Death Adder, so you know the general size of it. Obviously, it's a large mouse, more like the Death Adder, so I'll be recommending it for large hands. The button slope is gradual, with the hump being more in the middle, which means it's suitable to all grip styles depending on your hand size. For measurements, the grip width is hard to tell exactly, but it's about 6 centimeters. The base length is about 12.5, and the height looks to be about 4. Fairly standard dimensions for a large mouse, so that's good. I'd say it could suit palm grip for hands between 16 and 19.5 centimeters, and claw and fingertip grip, 18 to 22 centimeters. Now, that said, if you're looking for a mouse that you can aim really well with, it's a large mouse, so I'd say it's better for hands over 19.5 centimeters. Moving on to the buttons, here is a listen to each. As it's a larger mouse, left and right have a bit more tension, but still feel easy enough to press in. My slight concern is that they have a bit of a hollow feel at times. Hard to describe, but it's not the cleanest click. The mouse wheel is where it really shines, with mouse 3 being easy to press in but not too easy. Tilting the wheel left and right has a good click, and scrolling up and down has noticeable steps, along with fairly smooth scrolling. I still think these are some of the best wheels I've ever used, which should be good in gaming and general scrolling. The side buttons aren't so good, but they're not bad either. They have a fairly short travel distance. The problem is that sometimes I don't know if I've clicked it in or not, and the DPI buttons feel good but do get in the way at times. In the latency testing, neither test is accurate, but together they should give a decent indication, and when tested with the G403, it's very close. But the G403 has a slight advantage. I'm happy with the buttons, but they could be improved as well. Now showing the performance of the 3361 sensor in-game. No problem on rocket jumping around, and moving it really quickly across the pad, I can't make it lose track. Even in the tilt slam test, it tracks everything. In the sniper test, it tracks pixel by pixel, and does it smoothly, even when speeding up. And for acceleration, I can't detect any that's really noticeable. The lift-off distance is under 1 DVD on cloth and hard pads. That can be raised in software though. As for responsiveness, I can't really tell if there's a delay. If I put the weight in the G403, it should be about the same weight, and yet somehow the G403 feels a bit lighter, so the Kone Pure feels a bit heavier in its movements. That's not necessarily about the responsiveness though. That could just be the mouse feet not gliding as smoothly. Testing the 360, it's the same. So all good there. In the line test, I see no unusual jitter, angle snapping, or skipping. Lift-off movement is well controlled, and there's no sensor rattle. It's an excellent performance as expected from a 3360 series sensor. No real problems found in game or in testing. For the build, when tapping it, it seems fine, and when shaking it, the scroll wheel has a very slight rattle. No concern there. It's fairly smooth plastic all over. I really like the rubberized coat of the Kone Pure though, so it's a bit of a shame that's gone, although this is probably more durable. The cable is a smooth braid and quite flexible, and it's just over 1.8 meters long. As far as braided cables go, this one seems good. The size also seems good. It fits easily into the Zowie Kamade mouse bungee, and the Cougar Bunker, and Extra 5B1. In the software, you have some sensitivity options, and you can set the DPI from 100 to 12,000, in increments of 100. You can rebind the buttons with a lot of options, including macros, which you can choose or record. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it detects mouse clicks, but you can include a mouse event. Here's a quick look at the rest of the functions. It all seems there, from internet to media, to general mouse commands, and even open folders and applications. It also has the Roccat Easy Shift, so you can hold in a button, and all the other buttons get a different command. This is great for MMOs, and games that you need a lot of binds in, or maybe even just shortcuts for software. You can change polling rate and liftoff distance, and it applies the changes almost instantly. Now, one of the main features of the mouse is the RGB lights on the side. It seems to have 4 lights, but the colors just aren't accurate. The cameras aren't really showing it either, but they're way off, and when set in color flow mode, it's not even smooth. It actually changes modes instantly. I know Roccat can do smooth transition on their colors, because the Roccat Cairo is fine. I don't know why they haven't made this the same. I hope they fix it in the future, otherwise I would have preferred if they just removed the lights. Maybe that would save on some weight. You also have profiles, and it has onboard memory to store your settings. Now, I played a lot with this mouse and I actually started to aim quite well with it. It felt comfortable, but it was a bit big. I'd definitely play with the Kone Pure instead. If my hand was 20 centimeters though, I'd choose this, and I have no doubt I'd aim even better than I am now. It's great for sniper weapons, tracking, and projectile. Everything is pretty right with the mouse. There's no such thing as perfect, so of course it has its minor flaws, but there's a lot more positive to the mouse than negative. And the upgraded sensor means it will be good for all players, all styles, and all games. It really comes down to whether you're okay with the weight, and if you think you'll like this shape. Unfortunately, because it's fairly different, it's one of those mice you might have to try and install before you buy it, but if it feels good to you, then I can recommend it. It's a great mouse, but it could do with some changes, as always. Hopefully we see them in the future. For now, I want to thank Roccat for sending this out for review. It's great to see them releasing mice again. I'm looking forward to the updated Kone Pure, and also their new wireless mouse. Both are meant to be out in April 2017, so stay tuned for those reviews. If you want to buy a Kone EMP and help support the channel, I'll leave the usual links in the description. Subscribe for more reviews and gaming videos, like this one, and I'll catch you in the next.
Impressive. Revenge. Blue wins.